Yo, big up, Wagwan, where I deal with, why pre, up top, blessings, where you depend. You don't know the thing, go. There again with another one, basically to break down that match against Burnley that we saw yesterday, actually. The start of the Premier League season, the 23-24 season. It got underway between Burnley and Manchester City over at Turf Moor. The end result of that game was 3-0 to Manchester City. The defending champions of the Premier League stake their claim on a fourth successive run with a, I would like to call it a dominating victory, but we'll get into the final details of that because the scoreline definitely says that we had a little trouble getting our 3 points today. Um, Phil Foden in the chat saying hello, big up to you, sir. It's been a while since I've seen you around here. Glad to see you back. Of course, of course. But I do want to get right into it. And first thing I want to speak on is the lineup. So I was very surprised with one particular player being included in the lineup, but for the most part, I think it is what I expected to see from us. Now, Ederson started. There was also Kyle Walker, Akanji, Nathan Ake, and Rico Lewis in the back line. Rico Lewis obviously inverting next to the CDM Rodri. There was also Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, um, Alvarez, and Haaland. The surprising factor to me was why did KDB start? Now, for me, if you guys had seen the preview, I specifically asked for KDB to not start. Pep did not listen to me, and no, we have to suffer the consequences of that. I personally wanted to see Kovacic next to Foden in that midfield area, Foden being the main creator. And then, if needs be, or if Pep decides that KDB should get some minutes out of this game in prep for further games upcoming. Bring him on, give him 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. I don't think he should have started the game. I think it was way too soon for that. In preseason, Kevin De Bruyne played 20 minutes and it was just in the Community Shield. That was the only time he featured. And he came on with 10 minutes to play. There was 10 minutes of added time. So it was very surprising to see him get thrown straight into the starting lineup for the first game of the season only a couple of days after that. Excuse me. Phil Foden says, good victory to start the season. 100%. I really thought the game would be a lot closer than it was. But like I said, we'll get into that really, really soon because I do want to speak on Burnley as well. I do want to give them a bit of credit because I do think that the scoreline takes away from the good work that they did in that game. But we'll definitely have that conversation very, very soon. I want to keep this one short and sweet. KDB should not have started, man. How did he get fit that quickly? I think it kind of worked against him because, news is coming out now that it's the same injury on the same leg, just like in the Champions League final. He just re-aggravated it. And honestly, I'm a bit disappointed with the fact that he did play. I can't lie. I like to trust Pep's decisions for the most part, but I mean, anyone could have seen that it was a bit too soon for him. I get trust in him if he says that he's fit, but if you want to look at Haaland last season, remember he got injured in that last international break. We had Liverpool as the next game after that. He wanted to play. That was the reports that were coming out. He wants to play against Liverpool. He's telling Pep that he's ready, and Pep said, "No, you're not. You're going to be on the bench, and you're not even going to come on at all." Alvarez played the entire game. So I expected to see something like that from Pep saying, you know what, you are very important to the squad. I can't risk you aggravating your injury again so early into the season when I'm not certain that you fully recovered. So I hope to see that the next time that he does come back, hopefully again it's sooner than later. And then when he does come back, he is managed much better and eased into the team again, not just thrown in there because he's Kevin De Bruyne. I want us to take care of him. He appears to be the captain this season, so I really do not want his first season as the official captain of the club to be tainted by injuries or him being forced to not feature that regularly. But that was just one question I had at the start of the game. Obviously, I put that behind me. Actually started because we hope for the best and we just look at what basically the game is showing us. Because I'm looking at talking points throughout the game. I'm looking at how we're set up tactically, how Pep is planning to use Alvarez and Haaland around this time. Because again, people who know me know that I'm a big advocate for Haaland and Alvarez both on the pitch at the same time. We have a new viewer in the chat, and he says, "Hello, man. Big up to you, 100%. Looks like an Arsenal fan based on the canon in your profile pic, but I really do appreciate you being here. And yeah, I saw your guys' games as well. You guys won 2-1 against Nottingham Forest, so that was a pretty good win. I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately, but good win for you guys. Um, so as it relates to the actual game now, I think Burnley did pretty well. I can't lie. I think Burnley did fairly well. I'm looking at the chances up until the 30th minute, and they had a lot of chances. Arguably, I would say that they were controlling the midfield at that point in time because the quality of their chances were better than ours. Obviously, Haaland had already scored at that point in time, 4 minutes into the game, if I remember correctly. But I think, Burnley surely could have slotted away at least one of their chances, and that would have made the game a completely different complexion. We would be having a completely different conversation right now. So I do want to put a little bit of respect on Burnley's name. Obviously, 3-0 kind of dictates that we ran away with the game, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Rewatch it again, and I do think that Burnley will cause problems to a lot of teams. I think even teams in the top six, top seven, Burnley will take points off of a couple of them. Trust me. They'll be playing Chelsea in 2 weeks, I think. So that is one game I'm definitely keeping my eyes on to see what Vincent Company can pull out of the bag. And if you actually look at it, when we played them last season in the FA Cup, we beat them 6-0. Then we played them this season in the Premier League, it's 3-0. You see the slight improvements that they're coming on with. Next time we do play them, who knows? It could be 2-0 or 1-0. So big up to Burnley, and I see what Vincent Company is cooking over there. The style of play that they have is really good. I just hope that they mature quickly into the Premier League and don't have that, promotion naivety that their natural style of play that brought them up from the Championship is going to give them results against the majority of the Premier League, if you guys get what I'm saying. So I would like to see them, particularly, for example, that first goal that Haaland scored. Great goal, of course. Surprisingly, we scored from a short corner. Like, I don't like seeing us take short corners because they usually don't work out for us. But Haaland had so much space in the box. All the Burnley players were looking at the ball. It went over to KDB on the right side, across. They all turn to KDB. You see them all turn to Rodri at the back post. He heads it back, and everyone is like 2 feet away from Haaland, and he just runs onto it, puts it into the back of the net. That's what you get when you have a player at Haaland's quality with all that space in the middle of the box, getting the ball to his feet. So I think that again was a bit of naivety from them. I didn't expect to see Haaland with that much space in the game, but hey, I'm not complaining. I'm quite happy with it. Um, Sorry, I really don't know what to call you because I cannot pronounce your name. So if you could put down in the chat what I can call you, I would definitely shout you out. But I really cannot pronounce that name. I see that you said you're from Ethiopia, but keep going. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate your support. Trust me, it definitely means so much. And I'll try to watch the highlights to your Arsenal's game because it did look like a good game. I heard that Saka scored a banger and Martinelli was cooking as well. So it's always good to see young players doing well like that. But you know, temper the expectations because the noise about taking our Premier League title from us last season a little bit too loud, and City fans had to start retaliating, defending our club. So we know we're expecting you guys to challenge us again this season for the most part. Somewhere in there with Liverpool as well. I think Liverpool will be up there for the title challenge as well. But let's see what the middle to end of the season is saying to us. Zena Arsenal. Zena Arsenal. All right, I got you. And he says, I'm from Ethiopia and my English is not so good. Sorry for that. Personally, from your comments, your English seems really good. I can't lie. I have no problems reading your comments, so your English seems really good. And Phil Foden says Burnley has some good patches of play. They definitely did. 100% they did. There was even a chance that they got 1v1 with Edison from a back pass from Rico Lewis. I really do think that they need a striker or somebody elite in their forward line that can put those types of chances away, because against Manchester City, if you're going to get a 1v1 opportunity like that, you have to make sure that you at least get the shot off. In the end, Rodri caught up to the player and he kind of nicked it off his foot. It rolled over for Ederson to collect, and that attack pretty much died out. But that's a once in a game opportunity that you get against Manchester City to have a 1v1 inside the box. You have to be taking that chance 100%. Similarly to last season against Nottingham Forest, they had one chance at the end of the game, they took it, and the game ended 1-0, 1-1. So that's the type of eliteness you need to have in terms of a finishing if you want to get a result against us. And he says Zena means news in Amharic. So Arsenal news. Okay, very interesting, very interesting. And Phil Foden says, yeah, Akanji got nutmegged. I saw that as well, but I still think he had a fairly decent game. I like how our team defended as much as they had good chances, Burnley. I think we still defended well enough to earn our result. And, obviously going forward, we were much better than in the Community Shield because we created so much more. And obviously, Haaland was there to prove his point. Alvarez also got himself an assist. Proud of him. And yeah, I do want to speak on Alvarez a little bit as well. I think he's definitely improved on the ball. Compared to last season, I still don't like to see him in that midfield area where Kevin De Bruyne usually plays. I think a player like Kevin De Bruyne, a player like Phil Foden, even Kovacic, I think they run the transition a lot better than Alvarez does. So Alvarez for me is more of a pure striker where you want to get the ball at his feet, you want him to be running onto through passes, and you want him to be taking a lot of shots on the goalkeeper. Similar to how you'd like to use a Haaland. That's why personally I always advocate for a front two. Some people say that Pep will never play a front two. I think he won't do it yet. I think he's trying to figure out a system in which Haaland and Foden can both be on the pitch. And I do think that he will eventually get to front two with two strikers and obviously someone inverting into that midfield from the defense to give us that extra midfielder. The wingers basically drop and, you get a lot of creativity in the midfield. Someone like Grealish and Bernardo on each wings to be industrial and two focal points up top that can play off each other, especially with Alvarez getting that much better on the ball. I do think that eventually that is the solution that Pep will get to, and I want to see it happen so bad. I think that's what we'll need to do unless Alvarez is going to become a winger, in which I see Pep going to a front two slightly ahead of Alvarez becoming a winger in terms of possibilities. But we will see what Pep decides to do. Alvarez shouldn't play behind the striker. He needs to play striker aligned with Haaland, 100%. See, our brains are connecting. We're definitely in line with this one, Phil Ford, and I like where your brain is going with this. You see the vision as well. But trust me, man, because Haaland also said that he likes to be in that type of position where he can assist a teammate as well, and he will get in a lot of situations like that because he's so good, and he is world class. For me, the best striker in the world right now. So he will get a lot of focus when the ball is at his feet and he's just outside the box or inside the box. So in those situations, if he does decide to pass, very few defenders will expect him to do that. And I trust Alvarez's finishing to be inside the box, get a pass with space, and pressure the keeper and score majority of the times. But um, yeah. So front two soon come. Really quickly, I also want to speak on players that I wanted to keep an eye on before the game in the preview. So the first one that I spoke on was Phil Foden. Funny enough, for me, still believe that this will be a massive season for Phil Foden. I think that he did a good job in the game. I really wish he was the main creator or at least got on the ball more than what I actually saw in the game, especially in the first half. I think in the second half, he had a bit more opportunities. I think he had maybe two opportunities I can remember where he should have scored or at least gotten a shot on target. So for me, his finishing needs to improve. 100% need to see improved finishing from Phil Foden. But overall, I still like what I'm seeing from him. I think Pep would continue to pick him. We also have Sevilla coming up on the 16th. That's what, 4 days away. So either that game or Newcastle 3 days after, I'm expecting to see Phil Foden play. He has to be playing like one of these games, starting and playing majority of the game. Obviously, since KDB is out as well, we might be getting another midfielder. There's talks about Paqueta coming in. I want to see Phil Foden be ahead of whoever we bring in next. He has to be that next midfield guy in there. I expect to still see him play on the wings, but this season, I do think it's time for him to take that midfield spot and make it his own. So, in regards to how he played the game yesterday, I mean, he was good. I liked what I saw from him. I hope to see it continue. I want to see him next to Kovacic and see how that compliment goes. I liked what I saw from them in preseason. I was a bit surprised that Pep didn't go with it again for the start of the season. Um, Phil Foden says, I liked his movement running in behind. I'm hoping we don't sign Paqueta because I want Foden to play CM. 100%, man. 100%. And personally, I don't think Paqueta's worth the price. I like him. I like the player. I liked when we were linked with him last year. I like what I saw from him in the World Cup with Brazil as well. And I don't want to judge his West Ham season last season because West Ham didn't have a great season overall. So I don't want to put just that sample size of his general performance and say this is what he is as a player. I do think there's more from him than what we saw last season. But regardless, I don't think anything he's done in his career so far is worth 95 or 100 million pounds, like you're saying right here. I really don't see it. And we always go to the cliche, it's not our money. Like, if Pep wants him, give him. Yes, if Pep wants him, give him, but I'm still going to give my opinion, which is he's not worth that amount of money. I think we can definitely find another player who might not be as good as Paqueta right now, but is better value for money than 95 to 100 million pounds for Lucas Paqueta. But we already have the song set up, so maybe it's just meant to be. Maybe it's just meant to be, and maybe more people will be cars to Lucas Paqueta. But we'll definitely see about that. The next player that I highlighted in the preview and I wanted to speak on was obviously Haaland. Now, you look at the Community Shield last year against Liverpool, he didn't have the best particular game. Everyone was doubting him, saying, "Oh, Nunez is going to outscore him." All of this stuff, he's overrated. He's not that good. He's not gonna fit the system. All of that. And then the next game against West Ham away, he pops up with 2 goals, and people shut up. They're like, "Oh wow, we should have seen this coming. He's gonna destroy the league." All that stuff. And it's so funny because people still don't learn. You look at the Community Shield this year against Arsenal, he didn't have the best particular game, and everyone just absolutely forgot that this guy just won the Golden Boot last season, broke the record even. So Haaland now pops up 4 minutes into the game, opens his Premier League account, starts the league season off, and for the first time in history, a player scores the first 2 goals of the Premier League season. Who else but Erling Haaland was going to come up with a feat like this? 35 minutes into the game, I think his second one came. Absolutely brilliant finish. I had him down for 1 goal. I thought the game would be 2-1 to Manchester City. But trust me, Haaland was like, I'm getting the second one too. I'm not done. Low cross from Kyle Walker on that right hand side. He drills it into Alvarez. Alvarez lays it off for Haaland, and he just hits it first time. It's off the post into the back of the net. James Trafford had no chance in saving that, and we'll get to James Trafford soon enough. But he had no chance in that goal, and I do think that Haaland could have gotten more. A matter of fact, I think when it was halftime, it was going into half, he was complaining because he was saying, "We all see the time is about to run out. Like, send me another pass. Like, let me get that hat trick in halftime and before halftime." And he was so visibly frustrated. Obviously, not like angry, but he definitely wanted to go and get another one. And like you said, bro, what a goal, man! I cannot tell you how many times I watched that second goal, and it's so funny because people are saying, he only scores tap-ins. Majority of his goals are tap-ins. That was definitely not a tap-in, and that was a massive, massive goal. And I do think he'll have a lot more of those for us throughout the season as well. We have Sevilla next, and then we have Newcastle. Newcastle also had a great game today, but I think he's planning to get more against them. Trust me, he's definitely planning to get more. And then we have Sheffield after that. Stay tuned for those match previews. That's all I can say. Stay tuned for those. But last player I wanted to speak on is Kovacic. He didn't start the game, which again was a bit of a shock to me. But he did come on into the game after KDB came off. That should have been reversed essentially. He came on after like 20 minutes of KDB playing. I think he should have started, and KDB comes on after 20 minutes remaining in the game. So that's what I think should have happened. I think Pep realized his error, and he played Kovacic, which went on to have a fairly good game. I like what I'm seeing from Kovacic. Again, not much from him in the final third. I don't think that's anything we should expect a massive improvement on anytime soon. I think you have to give him at least until Christmas time to fully get the system for Pep to mold that part of his game a bit more and see what he has to offer around that part of the season before we start seeing more from him going forward in terms of scoring goals and notching assists. But everything else about his game, I like it. He was even linking up with Foden. He had a play where he let it through in the box. Foden um kept it up off his heel, and he was doing a little bit of tricks in the box and coming around, but he shinned it and it just went off to the keeper. And it was a bit disappointing because if that did score, that would have been like, for me, Postcast nominated 100% because Foden was ready to do a madness. Go back and watch that. Yo, Phil Foden is such a special player, man. But for me, for the man of the match, it has to go to Bernardo Silva. I know a lot of people say Haaland was the man of the match, and I completely understand. But for me, Bernardo Silva ran the show. He started off on that right hand side in the midfield, and then after KDB came off, he moved over to that left hand side, and he still was so good. He was so good in the game. Foden, I think, was the one who moved over to that right hand side after KDB came off, and it's like we didn't skip a beat. The team was still creating a lot of chances. By the way, I have to say, while KDB was on the pitch, he was still playing so well. He was still playing so well, and it was just so unfortunate that we had to see him come off when he did. But he did. He was having a good game for that 20 minutes that he was on. But Bernardo Silva ran the show. I wish he had gotten that goal I had predicted for him, but that's perfectly fine because he still performed well enough for me to give him the man of the match. He was even dropping deep, collecting the ball from Ederson. He was completely press resistant. He was helping in the build up of the chances as well. Trust me, very, very reliable player, and I'm so happy that we kept him. And it definitely seems like he is certain to stay, possibly even signing a new contract. That is massive for the club. And just to finish up on Burnley before we go, Zaruri, or just before we get to that, Foden with a buzzer beater comment before we wrap up the Manchester City side of things. Bernardo is so class. He's going to sign a new deal soon. Hopefully he does. I think he has 2 years left on his deal. If he gives us another 2 to 3 years extension on that, and then leaves, on a free, I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. He is such a class player. He is such a class player. And just to finish up on Burnley, Yeah, I think we're back now. Sorry about that. Really do apologize. But yeah, just to wrap up on Burnley, their player that I highlighted to be their key player in the game was Zaruri. He actually didn't start the game, but when he came on, I think he was playing fairly well. I like what I saw from him. He seems like just like I described, which is what I saw from him previously when we played him in the FA Cup. Very electric. He was the one taking the corner, so less likely that he's going to be the one scoring their only goal of the game. But he did have a couple cracks there. Nothing of note actually, but I do think that he was one of their better players when he had come on, and I don't really think that. I think he might, if he had started the game, he might have possibly converted one of those chances. Let me leave it at that. He might have possibly done better with one of those chances because what I saw from him in terms of the shots he was taking or attempting to take, or even creating, I think he would have been, more value for Burnley in those chances that they created in the first half. That's my assessment on Zaruri. James Trafford, for me, he was definitely one of the better Burnley players on the day. I know it doesn't look that great that he conceded 3 goals in the game, but I think aside from that, his distribution was so good. Short and long, his distribution was so good. He was reading the game from a goalkeeper or defensive standpoint fairly well as well. He snuffed out a bit of the chances that we were trying to bring forward, and I think he definitely had an all around good game. I was a bit surprised to see him start because that was a bit of a wild shout, if you ask me. Muric, who is another player that they acquired from Manchester City, was the one who started majority of their games in the championship. But he was a new signing brought in for fairly high amount of money. So it was basically 50-50 which one of them Vincent Company would have gone with to start the first Premier League game. And I guess correctly, and James Trafford got the nod, which I think he performed well enough to warrant a start in his next game as well. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he wants to take a look at Muric as well. So yeah, in assessment, I think James Trafford also had a good game. I don't think that he would have full hard done by his performance. I think he basically did Vincent Company proud enough. And Josh Brownhill, that might not have been one of my best prediction, guys. I'm gonna hold my hands up on that. He didn't start the game, and he actually did not come on until the 90th minute. Maybe he was nursing an injury or something. I'm not really too sure. I didn't get to speak with a Burnley fan before or after the game, but I did think he was one of the more important players in the Burnley setup. Maybe not this season, but I was a bit surprised to see him come on that late in the game, and overall not to see him start in the first place. But let's see what the rest of the season holds for him. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through. Big up to Phil Foden in the chat. It's been a while, my brother, and I'm glad to see you back here again. Also, Zena Arsenal in the chat as well. First time commenter, and I'm glad to see you here. Glad to have had you here. Um, Phil Foden says, James Trafford was nice. Never watched him before, but highly rated by City Academy. And he also had a good, I think it was under 21 Euros for England in the summer. I think he definitely had a good tournament there. He was goalkeeper of the tournament or a Golden Glove winner, one of the two, if not both. So that definitely was a good thing for him coming into the start of the season as well. He also had a loan or 2 seasons worth of loans at Bolton for the past 2 years before this one. And Bolton fans really like him. They actually really wanted to keep him. Some of them were sad that he was leaving. So that's very, very good from him. And hopefully he does go on to have a good career. I like to see all of our academy products go on and have successful careers, even if they're not going to play at Manchester City. And don't forget, we also do have a buyback on him. So you never know what might happen. He might be the Manchester City number one at some point in the future. Definitely keep an eye out for him. And a lot of people are expecting him to be a part of the England first team sooner than later. So that's definitely high praise for James Trafford. And we'll watch Burnley sometimes. I'm planning on watching as much Premier League football as possible. Vincent Company is my guy. Our captain for so many years, and he's managing in the Premier League now, playing such good football. Of course, I'm going to try to lend him at least one eye. I have to see what he's doing sometimes. And throughout this month, I can't make no promises because I'm watching Big Six games. I want to see a little bit of everyone, especially the teams that we're going to be coming up against sooner than later. But I definitely want to keep an eye on Burnley if ever possible. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. 35 minutes in. I think this is not a bit longer than I expected to go, but nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong at all. Thank you guys for coming out. Please don't forget down here still same information. We got an extra subscriber. Big up to all the subscribers. We got finally at 77 subscribers. Please, if you haven't subscribed as yet, be that guy to make it 78. The plan is to get to 100 by the end of this year. It's still reachable. It's definitely still reachable. And hopefully we can get to 80 before the end of the month. We're getting there slowly but surely. But yeah, don't forget to like the video so that other people can get exposed to the video. They can come on and enjoy the content as well, and subscribe so we can hit our goals coming up. Take care, my bro. Hope to see you again on the next one, and until next time.